Okay, hi, good evening, my lovely year 11s. So this is the first actual flipped lesson that I'm doing. So the idea, as you know, of a flipped lesson is that you do the classwork at home and you do the homework in class. So we actually spend more time on the problems. So look, I did this for the first term, but then I know I didn't do a lot of flip lessons. Uh, that was mostly because I was trying to do a flip lesson for every lesson that we did, which is not sustainable given the workload pressures. But I can definitely try to do at least once a week. It is always a good idea, even if we get that 1 extra hour to do problems. I think we'll make headway, we'll make a lot of progress. Look, I'll try my level best to do this at least twice a week, so that we get more time to practice problems in class. Uh, but definitely once a week, I should be able to do it. So what I was going to do was I was going to start you off on counting. That is chapter 10 in your Sadler textbook. So just for your notes, it's chapter 10 and AJ Sadler. So I'm going to start off with a very simple problem just to get you interested, to spark your interest, and that is uh, in how many ways in how many ways can I write the word Vincent? Yep, this is the same Vincent that we have in our class. Right. And we need to figure out a way in which we can actually work out the number of ways in which I can write the word Vincent. Although it seems like a simple problem right now, it actually isn't. You'll understand the complexity of this problem if you first look at these problems. How many words can you arrange? Let's start with something simple. Two. Again, the two from last year. So, okay, the two ways you can do it is T and U and T. No troubles, easy. How many words can you arrange? A three-letter word, cat. Again, cat from year 10. It could be CAT or CTA, or you could do ATC, ACT, and TAC and TCA. It seems simple till now, right? Of course it does. But what happens if we were to arrange this word, Rudy? So you would go RUDY, then RDUY, then you would do UDY, RDUY, then RDYU, and RYDU. And you'll keep doing it. Like now, the next one would be uh, you could start with UDYR and so on and so forth until you get about about 24. So if you keep doing this, and you can do this for yourself, you get 24 ways in which you could write Rudy. So they must. So you could see. You started with 2 ways for this one. You went on to 6 ways for cat and 24 ways for Rudy. Now, if you do a 5 letter name, for instance, ALISA. So let's say you did ALISA. You would find that there are 5, 4, 20, 60, 120 ways of doing it. But I'm sure that you guys don't have the time to write down every combination or every arrangement in which these letters can be arranged. So there must be an easier way to do these kind of problems. And the easier way is called permutation. So permutations. Permutations are just another uh, word for arrangement. Permutations, arrangement. So, for instance, let's look at the first example that we did, the one with cat. CAT. The question that you're asking is, you've been asked is, how many ways can you arrange these 3 letters? So, the best way, and this is how my own teacher taught me, was draw 3 blanks and then figure out how many ways can you fit the first blank. With these 3 letters, how many ways are there that you could fill in the first blank? Well, if you think about it hard enough, you'd see there are 3 ways. How many ways are there that you can fill the second blank? Now, remember, one letter of C, A, or T has already been used. So, you've already exhausted one letter, so you're left with, if you said 2, you're right, 2 options. And then you're left with 1 option. So, in total, you have 6 ways, and that actually is what we got in the question that we did at the top. So if you go back, you would find that we had 6 arrangements. So for that, okay, 6 different arrangements. So going back to, so we had another one here, the one with, let's take Rudy's name, okay? So Rudy, we'll do the same thing, blank, 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 blank. 4 ways to the first blank, 3 ways to fill the next place, 2 for the place after that, and 1 for the last one, which gives us 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. So 24 ways in which you could write Rudy. Similarly, Alisa is 60 ways. Alisa is 60 because 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is 60 ways of doing it. And finally, Vincent, our 7-letter word, Vincent, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for the first place, 6 for the second, third, fifth, fourth place, fifth place is 3, and sixth place 2, and last place 1. 7 times 6 is 42, 42 times 5 is 210, 210 times 4 is 840, 840 times 3 is 2400, 2520, and 2520 times 2 is 5040 ways in which Vincent's name can be written. Now, obviously, it would have not been a good idea to write all the combinations, and if you did, respect. Okay, 5040 ways. Now, this can be summed up in what is given in your Sadler textbook as the multiplication rule. Multiplication rule. Now, what the multiplication rule says is, give me a second, because I want to write it as it is in the textbook. Do copying down activity. So if there are A ways an activity can be performed, and activity can be performed and for each of these ways each of these ways there are B ways a second activity can be performed, and for each of these there are C ways in which a third activity can be performed. So you get the drift. Now there'll be D ways in which the fourth activity can be performed, and so on. Be performed. So, and so on. Then total number of ways of performing successive activities is A times B times C times D times dot 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 goes on. Similarly, when we were doing the Vincent question, for instance, it was so for Vincent there was A ways of there was 7 ways of doing the of performing the first activity, that is filling the first blank. Then there was 6 of filling the next, 5 of filling the one after that, 4 of filling the one after that, 3 the successive activity, the one activity after that, and so on and so forth. So A ways times B ways times C ways times D ways times E ways times F ways times G ways. Now what I want you to think is, what would you do? How would you do a name like, what about a name like, I want you to think before you come to class. Alicia, you see the problem here? There are 2 I's. What are you going to do with that? Because these 2 I's are going to make things a little complicated, and when you're arranging it, 2 of the names would be the same. What are you going to do about that? There'll be a lot of letters which would be repeated, a lot of words which would be repeated because of these 2 I's. If you check the names that we used, there was not one letter that was repeated. However, in this, I is repeated. What are you going to do? Figure out a way, and we'll discuss this when you come to class. Best wishes, lots of love to you all. See you tomorrow.